Hello everyone, and welcome back to John and Mandy Go RVing.
Good morning everyone. We're leaving Hollywood, Florida now, getting ready to head down 27 south towards the Florida Keys. But before we get to the Keys, we're going to stop at the last Walmart and load up on some things that we need. Fill up on gas so then we don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff while we're down there. We just made a pit stop to get some gas, and then we hit Walmart to get some groceries. And now we got about 107 miles on 1 south here until we get to Sugarloaf Key at the KOA where we're staying. So we're really looking forward to this. We're now going over the bridge to Key Largo.
The Florida Keys are a chain of islands that stretch over 137 square miles along the Florida Straits, dividing the Atlantic Ocean from the Gulf of Mexico.
Welcome to Key Largo. Cheeseburger in paradise.
For the longest time, the Florida Keys were only accessible by water. This changed in the early 1900s when work began on the Overseas Railway in 1905. The railway operated from 1912 until it was partially destroyed by the Labor Day hurricane of 1935. The hurricane was a Category 5 with winds reaching 200 miles per hour. The storm surge was over 17 feet above sea level and washed completely over the islands, taking the lives of more than 400 people. After the Labor Day hurricane of 1935, the railroad bridges, including the 7-mile bridge, were converted to roadways for vehicles, creating the Overseas Highway.
Now we're crossing the Long Key Channel here. A lot of people out fishing today along the side. A lot of pelicans hanging out with them too. try getting a campsite there too while we were down here, and there was nothing available. There's our campground, right over there on the left.
After many weeks of checking the KOA website, we were finally able to book 5 nights at the Sugarloaf Key, Key West KOA Holiday. This KOA was destroyed by Hurricane Irma in 2017. It is mostly rebuilt now. It is a beautiful campground with 141 full hookup sites. The sites are beautifully landscaped but are quite small, unless you're willing to pay big money for the premium patio sites. The campground is located just 20 miles from Key West. There are only 4 tent sites. All have water, electricity, a tent pad, and a fire ring. Construction continues in the campground. This building will eventually house vacation suites. There is a propane filling station, but no dump station on site. You never truly need to leave the campground. It is full of top-notch amenities. It has a nice-sized store with souvenirs and RV essentials. There's also a cafe with quick bites and sandwiches. There are 2 coin-operated laundry rooms, both open 24 hours a day. There are also 2 bathhouses, which were cleaned regularly. Adjacent to the pool is the bar that has nightly drink specials. You can also order food from the cafe to enjoy poolside. The pool area is absolutely gorgeous, with plenty of seating, some palm trees for shade, and a large hot tub. Inside of the pool area is a section of hammocks for lounging, plus an area for cornhole and bocce ball. Near the marina, you can rent boats and bicycles. The dog park was nice, but pretty small. At the marina store, you can buy bait and rent fishing and snorkeling gear. There are 22 boat slips that can be rented for an additional charge. They even have fuel on site for the boat. There's a small beach that's perfect for a quick swim or some snorkeling.
We are excited to spend the next couple days in Key West, exploring the city and sharing some of the fun activities it has to offer. So please join us for this fun adventure.
So we're here in Key West, and instead of us going to pay for parking, we're going to park here at the Publix grocery store. You know, kind of mixed in with some of the cars so it isn't so obvious. And then we're just going to ride our electric bikes down to Key West here to check it out for today.
Key West, also known as the Conch Republic, is 4 miles long and 1 mile wide, with a population of over 22,000 people. 2/3 of the land here is man-made. This includes several man-made barrier islands surrounding Key West. Prior to 1821, the Florida Keys, including Key West, were fishing grounds for people native to the Caribbean. This was during a time when the Florida Keys were largely uninhabited. Try to be careful around the chickens in Key West, as they are descendants of aggressive jungle fowl found throughout the Caribbean. They are known to locals as Key West gypsy chickens.
Checking out some of the back streets of Key West here. Why did the chicken cross the road? Trying to get to the other side, to get out of our way. There's the lighthouse. So for our first visit here in Key West, we're going to stop here at the Key West Lighthouse and Museum.
Yeah, it's only 88 steps up, so we've been doing 200, I think, the last two we've done, so I'm hoping it's a little better. We'll see.
The first lighthouse that was built in Key West was completed in 1825. Then the Great Havana Hurricane of 1846 destroyed the lighthouse, along with 14 people who had sought refuge inside the tower. This tower was completed in 1848, and today it stands 73 feet tall.
Alright, up we go into the lighthouse. And we're here. That didn't take long. Simply beautiful up here. Over here we have the Atlantic Ocean.
This is a first order lens from the Sugarloaf Key Lighthouse.
Be sure to bring cash for admission to the Hemingway House and Museum, as they do not take credit cards. Current admission price is $17 for adults and $7 for children. The tour includes his home, a beautiful garden, and his writing room. Hemingway was a great American author who penned classics such as The Sun Also Rises and The Old Man and the Sea. One of the ones with 6 toes and with
6 toes. Yeah.
The gardens are lovely with an array of plant and flower varieties. You can book weddings and other events here. Check their website for details. For us, the cats are the real draw. Snow White was the original cat owned by Hemingway. The grounds are now home to over 60 cats, many of which have 6 toes. All of the cats are named after famous people, and the cats have their own staff with veterinarians and caregivers.
My kitties.
The little ones.
You gonna get it, kitty? Fierce lion kitty.
Well, time to hop on the bikes and head down to the southernmost point in the U.S. Then we'll head over to the iconic bar, Sloppy Joe's, for lunch.
Gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find what you love and excel, yeah. Push and pull and repel any hate, go create what you want, feel compelled, yeah. And once you finally get a taste of the race, you'll never look back once you felt that. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first.
Now let's go and see the most famous street in Key West, Duval Street. It's a mile-long stretch that features bars and restaurants, gift shops, and museums.
Others way before myself, yeah. I guess that's why I feel like I go through hell, damn. Wasting time on your dreams instead of mine, yeah. About to turn this franchise around on a dime, man. It's all about finding your right state of mind. It's all about turning the worst into fine. It's all about time and the work and the climb. From the thirst we will rise, I'm immersed in this life. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first.
Sloppy Joe's, the original Sloppy Joe to eat, some fries.
And they are sloppy.
And we got 2 sloppy Ritas to drink.
It is customary in Key West to head down to Mallory Square to watch the sunset, but John and I opted for something a little different. Cruisin' Tiki's is a unique way to experience the waters of Key West. They have a variety of cruises lasting from 1 hour to 2 hours. Tonight, we'll be doing the 2-hour sunset cruise. It's BYOB, but they do supply water and sodas. Other cruises they offer are a stop and swim cruise and cruises designed specifically for snorkeling.
Rocking the boat.
Do you guys see the building with the red roof, like the triangular roof? When Hemingway first came back.
The cruise wasn't cheap, but it's definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience that we both really enjoyed. And we did get to see Mallory Square, just from a completely different angle.
But I'll get there doing
Well, that ends our day in Key West. Tomorrow we're heading to Fort Zachary Taylor Historic State Park, and then we'll stop by John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park on our way out of the Keys. Stay tuned.
To another fantastic year with you. Cheers. So here we have Fort Zachary Taylor, which was named after our 12th President of the United States of America, not long after he passed away, and it's located here in Key West.
In 1845, construction began on this magnificent fort as part of a 19th century plan to defend the country's southeast coast through a series of forts after the War of 1812. Fort Zachary Taylor is comprised of New England granite and analytic limestone with 5-foot thick walls that rise 50 feet high. The building process was long and grueling due to material shortages and yellow fever epidemics. By 1866, 21 years later, the fort was finally completed. Fort Zachary Taylor was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1971 and designated a National Historic Landmark in 1973. There is a guided tour of the fort every day at 11 a.m. that we highly recommend when you visit the state park.
Let's pretend our gun has just fired. What's going to happen? We're going to recoil backwards. Well, we don't want it out in the parade ground or falling off the top. They attach what they call a tongue. It's a metal plate. It sort of sticks out in front, so they call it. It's bolted here to the lower carriage. A big iron pin went in that hole there, held the tongue in place. So the lower carriage is not going backwards. It can go to the right and left. Our wheels are not quite on the track where they should be, but it could move on that. Now, we only have one brake on our replica. I imagine they had several. It could slide back to here. We wanted to recoil a little bit because this is a front-loaded cannon. Now, they had about an 8 to 10 man crew. First thing one I would do is get something called the worm. It's a corkscrew-shaped rod that scrape out any still burning residue. You didn't want to throw in some bags of black powder to reload if it's still burning in there. And then one I would come over here, there'd be a barrel of water with a long pole with absorbent material called a sponge. They actually swabbed it out. And then they had soldiers that all their job was to bring bags of powder to the gun rooms. They would run along here, they'd run upstairs. They told them they looked like monkeys, so they called them powder monkeys. And they would stay away from the guns, and there's the passageway here that you don't really notice until you walk through it. They call this the monkey run, because they said they ran back and forth. Well, two of the crew would come back here, they'd get 2 bags 9 pounds each of powder. Put them in, put in a 125-pound cannonball. There were metal spikes on the side. They crank it back up in position, attach the fuse. Take about 15 minutes and they're ready to fire again.
The fort isn't the only attraction here. The state park has one of the best beaches in Key West and has a cafe, gift shop, and snorkel rentals. You can also spend a day relaxing, fishing, or using the park's tables and grills for a picnic. On our way out of the Florida Keys, we're going to make one more stop. We just couldn't leave without visiting John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park in Key Largo. There's boat and RV parking in the marina parking lot. It was dedicated as a state park in 1963. It is named for a Miami Herald journalist who was instrumental in preserving the habitat. There are pavilions, picnic tables, and grills available for use throughout the park. There are 3 short hiking trails at John Pennekamp. All are under a mile and ranked as easy. Ask for information at the Visitor Center. At the marina, a boat ramp is available for a $10 fee. If you don't own your own, you can always rent a boat right here. One regret we have is not having enough time to take a tour. The park offers scuba diving and snorkeling excursions, as well as a unique view of sea life in their glass-bottom boat tours. You can rent snorkeling and fishing equipment here. The clear blue water contains over 600 species of fish and 70 different species of coral. You can also rent paddle boards and kayaks here to paddle through the mangroves. The restrooms have showers, so you can clean up and do a change of clothes when you're done swimming or snorkeling. This building contains the Visitor Center and Aquarium, where you can learn about the coral reef ecosystem. There are 2 beaches in the park. This is Cannon Beach. It is the better beach for snorkeling and is near the concession stand and rentals. Far Beach is the second beach in the park, and it is just as beautiful and usually less crowded.
Thanks everyone for joining us today, and if you found any of this information useful, please give us a like and feel free to subscribe. Take care everyone.